With Liverpool's title coronation well and truly out of the way and her fans riding into the sunset, it then affords us a chance to narrow in on a seeming alliance between the blue and red house of Manchester, not forgetting London's crouching tiger in the shape and form of Chelsea. Also, we'll take trips to Spain and Italy, where Juventus, Barcelona, Real Madrid and Lazio are locked in a compelling tussle to the race of the finish. Hello, and the finest of welcomes to Kicking It with Nairabet. It's a pleasure, as always, to introduce an amazing cast to ever-present Saw. Welcome along to the show.
Thank you so much. You said something about, crouching tigers. I was thinking Triumphant and all that. If Chelsea is like, the crouching tiger, is Manchester the not-so-eating dragon?
Never know. You just never know. It's also good to have a debutant on the show. How about that, Emmanuel Nwachukwu? Emmanuel, it's good to have you. It's been a minute. We've been talking about this for quite some time, so it's finally good to make it happen post-lockdown. And you look great as well.
Oh, thank you. Like I told you, finally Edward managed to activate my release clause.
Right.
And I'm here.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to be here.
Fantastic.
And that was an amazing intro you did there.
I totally couldn't agree more. Well, welcome along to Kicking In with Nairabet. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, especially off the back of course, lockdown has given us a chance to have some perspective. Football has returned, and the last few weeks has seen a league title won in Germany and, of course, in England as well. And that is out of the way, but there's still a lot of football to be played and, of course, to be enjoyed. I must say it's been, in many ways, a bit exhausting. The back-to-back fixtures is just relentless. What has it been for you?
It's been a whole new different experience. I'm used to waiting for the weekends to see football games. Now I'm almost missing football games. Oh, there's a game going on now and I'm rushing to catch up and watch. But it's interesting, it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I'm a football freak, so I love the fact that at every turn I can see a football game, and a football game that always has an impact. It looks like every game, after every game, I'm running to live score to see what happens to the table, and it's interesting. I love it. It's even more interesting than the title. That title was boring because Liverpool was just going on.
I mean, we pretty much knew Liverpool were going to win that title, and of course we did them some justice in our introduction. But you enjoyed the last couple of weeks. Have you found it hectic keeping up with the log?
A little bit. So sometimes I find myself catching the highlights, but like you said, Ima? Yeah, okay. Now, let me get it right. So, like you said, every game seems to have an impact, and every time there's one band or the other. So, it's just the cruise right now for me. It's just the cruise. I'm just trying to not get into it too much because I already know that by the time August starts, I have to have withdrawal symptoms. So, I have to maintain it so that I don't become a junkie. And then after August finish, no football. What to do?
Oh, that will be interesting for sure when August does come around. We'll take a first break on the show. When we come back, we'll talk about the blue and red house of Manchester, and of course the latter, where a puzzle seems to be finally coming together. Let's start off with Manchester United, because it's been an interesting couple of days for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the team, and we're talking particularly about the 16-game winning run, undefeated run they've had now. And when they sold Lukaku at the time, and of course started 2020, 6 points off the top four, 2 wins from 7 games, it all felt like it was going to unravel for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But it's turned around since that period in time, and it's pretty much looking like a real United team, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the part that pieced everything together was the signing of Bruno Fernandes. He has found a way to effortlessly make the different compartments of the team work together.
Yeah.
Now, it is that lack of brilliance that you have with Lingard, Pereira.
Yeah.
Apologies to them. That
Why you apologize? They call them money, they know they work.
That he brings to the team. Again, this is it. Without Fernandes, people like Marshall wouldn't have been able to thrive, because Fernandes seemed to know how to put the ball just at the right spot. Now, this is one thing that Manchester United had going with Lukaku. You had a player who, on his own, could create things out of nothing. Now, so that was the fear that many had when Lukaku left. That, listen, you had a bunch of guys who are a little bit lazy and entitled, who wanted everything put on the plate for them. Well, Manchester United got their transfer right by getting Fernandes, and now Pogba is back. So with Pogba and Fernandes, you know that loads of chances will be created for the guys going forward, and they've got amazing pace
Yeah.
up there. So all is well at Manchester United now, and then nobody would remember that they took a huge gamble. It was a huge gamble, to sell Lukaku, but it's paying off, and so everybody's fine.
What is this conversation about the front three? Because Emmanuel has mentioned rightly about Martial and the pace they've got now. And there's this conversation about that front three: Mason Greenwood. I think they call them the MMG. Mason Greenwood, Martial, and of course, actually Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood. I mean, whatever it is, but. There's a comparison now to Liverpool's front three, who have not scored as many goals as them. You know, United's front three, for perspective, have scored some 55 goals, and Liverpool's front three, if you compare that, have scored some 52 goals thereabout. Is that fair? Are they that good?
I think it doesn't even make sense. But that's the thing about English media and their narratives, because, I mean, come on. These boys all together, if you had their age together, they are not even all together like 60. I mean, the oldest among them is not even 25. One of them is not even entitled to vote. The other one is not even entitled to marry or have a girlfriend, because Rashford still can't have a legitimate girlfriend. He has to tell his mother that he have her. And that's the person that you are using to compare with Sadio. Sadio Mane, fastest hat-trick in Premier League. The insult is just mind-boggling. But here's the thing: Manchester United, they like the present cruise. Every time they have something that they can celebrate, they'll just go on about it. And that's where my fear is for them, because that's where they fall into that hole. Because they did that with Janus at that time. Yeah, these ones, they are not the first. Macheda came. Tata. Whoa. Everywhere was sweet. And next thing you know, everywhere was quiet. So my only challenge when they start bringing narratives like this is, these boys are young. They did something like this. Martial went to get stripper girlfriend. Martial left Samantha. Martial did not score better goal for eons, and suddenly he now gets an hat-trick or a hat. Is it an or a? A hat-trick and hat-trick.
It works.
Hat-trick. And then suddenly, now they are comparing them to people that have won.
So basically, they're not as good as Liverpool's
My
front
point
three.
is, they are over-hyping them.
Right.
And if they keep on hyping like this, they will fall into the same hole they've been falling since. They will become the Januzajs of the world again. They will become Martial of 2018, 2019 even.
Yeah.
Again. So just keep quiet and enjoy the fact that you have a beautiful striker in the face of Greenwood.
Yeah.
Left leg, right leg. I'm seeing things I have not seen before. Now I can actually go and watch a Manchester United game and I'm like, this is orgasmic.
Right.
I'm like, see ball. See sexy ball.
So it's pretty good. That's it. Right. So I think I got it. Martial, Marcus, and Greenwood. So the MMG.
Oh, yeah,
And
still
of course,
fighting on the name.
still trying to figure it out. still funny. But for perspective, then guys, Ronaldo, Paulo Dybala, and Higuain have just the same amount of goals as the MMG. So it's a pretty good company to be in if you're a Manchester United supporter.
How many titles have they won?
I'm sure they'll be taking that to the bank anytime
So
soon.
allow them enjoy.
So just allow them enjoy it. It's the little things, right? That's what they say. Right, so let's get away from that. Let's talk about squad depth a bit, because we need to wrap up on Man United. For all the glamour and the glitz of the 16 games unbeaten run and whatnot, which is great, we saw in the FA Cup a few substitutions means the squad is pretty much threadbare in terms of quality. Take up Bruno Fernandes if he gets injured, if Pogba gets injured, then you have a very thin squad. You know, what do they need to do in the summer? What positions do you think they need to strengthen up?
Again, I think Manchester United need to look at their defense. It's not as convincing as you feel. I think the attack is bailing the defense a whole lot. Luke Shaw needs to go. Luke Shaw is not a top 6 material. I'm sorry. I don't know if Maguire is having his cycle. But if it is, okay, fine. But if it is not, then it's a problem. It's
Right.
a problem. What do you do to an £80 million centre back?
You've got to play that. That's for sure.
And he's the captain, but he does not infuse that confidence, that leadership you need. You have Lindelof always looking over his shoulder, because there's always that blunder in Maguire. But maybe when the season is over and then you have a little bit of preseason and the rest of them, Ole could get that off him. But I think Manchester needs some fullbacks, both right, left and right. You need someone to cover for Wan-Bissaka.
If he gets injured.
Does not. I'm not sure he will last forever with the way he's going.
Nobody lasts forever, Emmanuel.
So he needs somebody to give him a breather once in a while. Shaw is totally out of it, so you don't have a left back. So Manchester needs to get a left back.
So you think a centre back, a left back,
a central midfielder?
Probably that's why he's going for Ake. That's why he's probably spinning Ake already. Like, oh, a left.
Oh, Nathan Ake. That's it.
Nathan Ake.
And the Manchester United, we need wide players. Wide players. I do think that Rashford's role should be where you have Marshall right now. Rashford will be better. He's a better centre forward than Marshall. I don't have any doubt about that.
Right. That's funny because a lot of people have felt like he's better on the left. So it's an interesting thought, but we'll keep that in mind, and I'm sure Manchester United fans will keep that in mind as well. Well, speaking of Manchester United, they're currently 2 points off Chelsea, who are fourth. They're currently fifth on the table, and still racing to that top 4 finish. Remember, as things currently stand, fifth guarantees you a Champions League place up until at least the CAS give a decision on City's current ban by UEFA. Let's move on to Chelsea then, because Chelsea have been one of the teams that have been sparkling in great form. Of course, the loss to West Ham was a bit of a blip. They showed it wasn't something of a permanent run. And I'm going to start off with you, Suo, on that, because Frank Lampard has said his team need to get used to the pressure of fighting for tough things, the top 4 being what they're currently fighting for. That's the kind of mentality they need, isn't it? But it's a young team.
Oh yeah, it's a cross between a young and old team, because you get people that are older like Aspilicueta on that same squad. You have older hands like Willian and Pedro. But I feel like the key to securing a little bit of more stability for Chelsea would be settling the older guard. Because one thing I've enjoyed about this Lampard, this post-Corona Lampard, is he's a bit more ruthless. Yes, he messed up on one side, and then when he said the guy finally saying no fuck up, he can go clean him, he can go carry and move again. If you're asking me what I mean by that, I will tell you that look at Alonso. Alonso was one of the persons that really didn't do a good job for the West Ham game. Rudiger, who is actually one of my personal favorites, was shambolic and a shit show for that particular game. He benched them like baby, and you see the results that came out.
Right.
Brite Christensen and people that you will not normally see that they work together. So I feel like settle your old guys, because the minute he started securing the bag by signing an extension of contracts for the older guys, he dropped Tammy Abraham and started with Giroud. If you settle who has been doing well, because one thing I have liked about this particular Chelsea, it might be crazy now because they've won in different patterns since the Corona. They won dirty. The last games they played, they won dirty. They won slickly when they played against Manchester City. I'm hoping to see what will play out in the next coming days. But you see, one thing that Giroud brings to that forward line is stability. Yeah. Because whenever it's there, you see all the small boys, like them Pulisic and the rest, they are ready to run forward because they know if they send the ball ahead, this guy go hold the ball, he go hold the play, and he go release them.
Yeah.
So they already know a pattern. If you were going to say, just like Manchester United, what would Chelsea need moving forward? Chelsea need to pursue Kepa come on for them, because Kepa is a beans. Just like De Gea has expired. Because there's some goals that De Gea they collect when we say Kepa they collect. Nonsense and Igweben. I don't understand it. Because that guy positioning, there was no reason why.
He kept a clean sheet in the
last game. That clean sheet not be work, oh. It's the defender's glory. Let's not give it to Kepa. It didn't work. But I will tell you this, they need to shove up on the defense. They have to get replacements for Aspilicueta. Even though Aspilicueta has given most crosses for Chelsea, they need to get replacement, because if you don't start planning ahead, by the time you are looking for markets, it has gone. One injury and that position is empty.
Well, speaking of Chelsea, a couple of injury problems. I can't say obviously one of the players we're hearing might be nursing an injury problem. And of course, Giroud, one of the old guards of the team, Willian have been carrying the team in many ways, so you'd expect that those players might be there for the next season as well. Let's just give a quick prediction as to what might happen in that top 4 race. Emmanuel and so, of course, I'm sure you have your thoughts on that. When you think about it, of course, Chelsea are in a good patch. They look a great team when they're flying forward and playing well. But you always feel like there is a blip around the corner. Lampard hasn't quite cracked that mental stability in the team. Man United also, you can sense there's something going on there. If you were to put your money on it now, and come the end of July when the Premier League finishes, who would you say will make the top 4?
Of the 2?
Yeah.
Manchester United.
You think Chelsea will drop out?
If by the end of today, I've put a bet on Manchester United finishing above Chelsea.
Right.
And this is it. There is this. Chelsea has got a very good team, but Manchester United seem to have found that Manchester United of Ferguson, that Manchester United that starts their season by January and then run till the end of the year. They are on the roll. And you see they are having fun. They are enjoying it. They are not scared. I watch Chelsea play, and you get that feeling every time that they would concede. It's been a long time I watched. I joined the Manchester United Bournemouth game at 1-0, and I was shocked that Bournemouth scored.
Right.
And when I went to get a drink and back, Man U were 3 goals to 1. I'm like, It don't dawn on me that when did Man U become this good? But it's been there. Chelsea looks so inconsistent. They look so shaky.
Right.
And it looks like their nerves is beginning to catch up with them. So I do suspect that Man U will finish above them. Another thing that's so inconsistent right now is Leicester City.
Right. I want to talk about that, but of course, I'm just going to take Swar's thoughts before we come back to you on that. I mean, obviously, he has proposed that Chelsea drop out of the top four, but we haven't mentioned Leicester.
But that's because of the fixtures. Because when you look at the fixtures left, Manchester United among all those striving for a top four position, whether it's Arsenal, whether it's Tottenham, whether it's Wolves or Chelsea, even Leicester, they have the easiest run. I mean, you look at Arsenal. Arsenal is going to be facing what? Manchester City, Leicester City, Chelsea. Are they not facing Chelsea too? No, they finished Chelsea. But they have Wolves.
Leicester,
Okay, they've done Wolves. Yeah, they have Liverpool as well. And then you look at Chelsea. Chelsea still has Leicester City. They still have Liverpool. Ogao, wahala deo. So I feel like if it's on paper, Manchester United should have it in the bag because they're already on the roll, like you said. But when you say inconsistency, right now, what I'm seeing from Chelsea is there are different ways to skin a goat. So far you tie and go tie rope, rope tie goat. Jonah swallow fish, fish swallow Jonah. As long as there's a swallow, that's Chelsea's pattern now. So anyway you have to win, you win. But if you say, oh, my confidence day on now,
right,
as at this July, on paper, anybody that has sense will say Manchester United. But then again, someone said something. I'm not trying to do bad, though. But if something happens to Bruno Fernandes, I
think it was the Mirror that tweeted something about Bruno Fernandes and Pogba getting injured in training at the same time.
You know Pogba has been dancing whiskey soccer. If he dance one soccer and just bam, and Bruno, hey!
United fans went into obituary.
It is done.
It's not going to happen.
Season has finished.
Right. But I'm just going to say, Swar, I had no idea what the cocoa and the fish and Jonah thing had not a single clue. Right. So let's move away from that now. Let's get on to Arsenal, because we're still pretty much talking about the Premier League, and let's get on to Arsenal because they're one of the teams also that have been, that found some sort of a stability under Arteta in the last 4 games, at least unbeaten in those 4 games. And you wouldn't have thought that when the restart happened, they looked in all sorts. David Luiz picking up a red card and causing a goal. Granit Xhaka was injured. Ben Leno was injured. It all looked like a team in a serious dilemma. It all feels like it's stable now. It's been a good week for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka scoring a first Premier League goal off the back of that, signed a contract before. And you've got Emiliano who is keeping clean sheets now. It looks very stable for the team, isn't it?
Yeah, and a whole lot is happening at Arsenal, which is very, very positive. I don't think any Arsenal fan is under the illusion that there's anything for the team this season. Whatever they get would be a bonus. Even if they get a Europa League spot, it's going to be a bonus. And anyone who is thinking of a Champions League finish is, well, allow a man dream dreams. But the biggest thing for them is to find stability, is to find sense of direction, is to find an identity. And they seem to be coming into that towards the end of the season. So I jokingly told some Arsenal fans that Arsenal is already in pre-season. So this is like pre-season games trying to get themselves into shape.
Or would you rather have them? Would you rather have them not qualify for Europe and have that 1 game a week next season to be able to allow the manager work on his taxes and training and whatnot? Or would you rather have them in European football next season? I mean, you are an Arsenal fan. You would.
So I was going to say that my bias, I'm an Arsenal fan. If I have my way, if Arsenal cannot, which I don't think they can, make it to Champions League, then get out of the whole European competition.
I'm sorry.
Now, this is it. That competition called Europa League is not lucrative financially.
But it gives you a backdoor into the Champions League.
Hold on. It's not lucrative financially. It is also strenuous. It is strenuous. When you have to travel to Far Eastern European countries on a Thursday and probably come back on a Friday and you have a game on a Saturday.
Well, it's a testament to where you are now as a club.
Unfortunately, again, Arsenal does not have the funds to have a big squad. So you say, okay, I'm going to drop many of my big players at home and go with the other guys and get a result. So they still have a small team. So it is still the Obama Yangs, the Jackers that go all that way and come back. It's not really working. So I think sometimes you need to go back, start again, and come back. Liverpool went all the way back.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Again.
I can't follow this trajectory. You have the most expensive ticket in EPL. You know how much they buy Arsenal ticket for London? The biggest real estate that you are opening mouth to tell me, yeah, we sit down here and you're like, Arsenal does not have the funds to have a big squad.
But what are the fans in the stadium now?
I don't care. They collected money. They collected money from people and buying players that are 3 kobo, while others are buying 300 kobo. So what are you not telling me? See, anybody that wants to follow this, see, you see this agenda, don't follow it too. Arsenal, anybody that knows Arsenal, they will start the season, first initial game, they will ginger, and then they will then start fumbling, middle of the season, and then ending of season, they will then start again, start giving fans hope. They start playing well.
So
it is the same Arsenal that has been playing for 10 years. Look at the trajectory. Ending of the season, Arsenal start picking up games, and they will still do the same thing. Next season, Arteta will still fumble, and Ataka and not put water from mouth.
Right. So you basically don't believe Arsenal are in a good place. But let's just give a quick prediction on where you think Arsenal will finish. You know, currently what on the table? Seventh on the table. Where do you think they'll finish? Think they'll finish higher up or lower?
I think they'll finish above every other person bearing of course, Tottenham is done. I think they'll finish above Wolves. Any other thing now depends on what collapse happens to either Manchester United, Chelsea or Leicester City. But I think they would end up on the 6th position in the table, which will be a fairly good finish considering all the turmoil that's happened to them this season.
Interesting. So
I don't think so.
You have a chance to give that top 4 prediction. So
they're 7th already.
It
doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be dropping ball that will let Arsenal then sleep in. Have you forgotten the kind of games
the person above them is Wolves?
It doesn't matter. Wolves. The only reason why Wolves has been discombobulating in this last game is because Kike Sanchez Flores, what's that his name? Nuno Espirito Sanchez.
Right.
That guy was overthinking it. How can you be putting Adama that will be running on the flank like Okada man? You put him for center, make it the form waiting number. No. But if you have to get a top 4, I see a Wolves having a better option than an Arsenal. I see a Manchester United probably there in the top 4. Stop your bridges, all these people. Leicester City has a better chance in Europa football than Arsenal even. So personally, I say Chelsea is right in the mix. Even Leicester City is right in the mix. Arsenal is so not in the mix, and that's all.
In the mix for
top 6.
For top 6.
For European ball.
All right, let's get away from that Premier League conversation now, because we're pretty much done and dusted with the Premier League's the top teams. We've given an X-ray on Manchester United, Chelsea and the Arsenal, who all 3 teams having some sort of a resurgence, and I'm sure their fans will be keeping up with things going into the last couple of games of the season. Right then, we're done with part 1 of the show. When we come back on part 2, we'll talk about Real Madrid and Barcelona, who are locked in a compelling race to the finish. Welcome back to Kicking It with Nairabet. We've got part 2 of the show, and we're starting off with Real Madrid, who are in an interesting battle with Barcelona until the finish. They've got 8 games to go in the La Liga. 8 games, they're about 5 games?
Just under
5 games actually. It's 8 in Italy.
Yeah.
Right. So Real Madrid clearly 5 points clear. It looked as if Barcelona were favourites just at the restart, but of course Real Madrid have changed their fortunes. And at the start of the restart, if that is that makes sense now, of course you have Karim Benzema, who was the man firing, but it's since been Ramos. He's taken the torch and blazing the trail. Scored 12 goals now in the season, and of course he's surpassed Ronald Koeman's goal scoring record. He's scored 6 penalties. He's pretty much the centre forward of the team. And there is a storm in the media as far as the VAR and Real Madrid, getting the referees on side, if that makes sense. What have you made of it?
First, I want to talk about Sergio Ramos. He is a dream defender. He is a dream player to have in your team. You just can't not like Sergio Ramos.
You can only like him. You don't like him if he's not in your team.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say.
So I am not a Real Madrid fan.
Right.
I'm a football fan, and I absolutely love him. I love what he brings to the game. You see, he's committed. He's switched on 200 minutes out of 90 minutes. He is switched on. He has that aggression. He has that determination. He wants to win.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was Mourinho's MCM when Mourinho was managing, but every time I watch him, I see the old Mourinho, the guy who wants to win. He doesn't mind how he does it. He just wants to win, and he gets the result. So you see him. I'm not amazed that he goes to get those goals. He has got the heart. He has got the presence of mind to carry, and he's a captain. So he is the ideal captain. He embodies the team. He breathes Real Madrid, and it's only fitting that he is the one now leading them, not just leading them with the armband, physically on the pitch, leading them to glory, especially when we all thought that glory was going to stay in Catalan.
Yeah.
Now he has gone there, snatched it, and he's taking it to the capital.
He's also doing it on social media because he tagged.
He's bantering. He's
tagged
beating them on the
Arturo
pitch,
Vidal
bantering them online.
on
I
social
love
media.
that guy.
Captain Fantastic. They play Alabes in their next game. You would expect them to win it because obviously they're not winning by 4 or 5 goals. They're just getting the job done. And football in the end is about scoring one more goal than the opposition.
Or not conceding goals.
Or not conceding
like
goals.
Barcelona.
Right. Let's talk about them because you
God.
mentioned Barcelona. Lionel Messi, of course, has been the center of attraction. He's been pretty much sounded discontented. Discontent. I beg your pardon.
Sounds like a wife that wants
in the
to
media.
divorce.
And the elections are coming up in Barcelona, which is another conversation entirely. But Barca have certainly felt like the referees haven't been fair in their position.
I get why they would say that when you looked at the Atletico Bilbao game against Real Madrid. I mean, on one side they gave a penalty, and then the other side you matched the guy leg for inside 18. If it was outside the 18, but personally for me, if you're going to give a foul outside the 18, they might as well give the penalty if it's inside the 18. But I see where they are coming from. But unfortunately, because of the way Barca has been in Champions League, nobody is giving them that, because everybody's like, UEFA Lona, we already know how they used to favor you when it's Champions League, so we really don't give a shit, or an extra 2 plates when it's now your turn to collect from Real Madrid. So that's the case now, because nobody really gets that much sympathy for them,
Right.
because they feel like this team has been taken care of well for inside the other side. So
For a long time.
and they had the game in hand. Like PK said earlier when the season just started, again, it was like the minute we lost grip on top position, we've already lost to Real Madrid. They know this. Any player that plays in Spanish La Liga knows that. Real Madrid is not the team that we'll start doing banter like maybe in EPL. Today is Liverpool up, next tomorrow. If Real Madrid is up, they don't drop it. So too bad for them. For the moving on from Messi's angle, I pray he goes to Juventus, because in my fantasy football manager, honestly, I pray he goes to Juventus, Pep Guardiola goes to Juventus, and then my boyfriend Ronaldo that doesn't friendly me, all of them play together, coach together, and I'm happy. But until then, maybe we'll hope that Neymar will come. But for the meantime, they found a pattern that works.
Right.
Meaning they bring a Griezmann, they bring a Suarez, they bring a Messi, and they work together on the field.
But that hasn't really worked. So
They tried it the last game, and it was beautiful.
I mean, Suarez scored a couple of goals, but
Messi got
Barcelona
the
needs
most
to-
assists.
Barcelona needs to look at themselves and then understand that they are their own biggest enemy. That team somebody seems to be playing pool with that team. Like, tumbom.
Jugba.
Jugba. I don't understand their transfer strategy. I don't understand their management strategy. Everything seems to be like
Imagine they are going for Eric Garcia.
It's
Eric
like comedy.
Garcia.
It's like comedy.
now it'll get better for sure. I'm sure.
the author Pjanic swap, and sometimes you look at like share wine. Like
I think it's the same people that do
whiners.
their transfer in Barca that do the same transfer for us now. Because when you see the name, they will just call you. You're like,
You understand that thing now?
I mean, look, you've got to cut Barcelona some slack. When you've got the world's best footballer for the last 10 years, you're coasting, so you forget to do some things properly. So obviously, they'll find
just one last thing. Just one last line. I feel
Lola.
like we are sleeping on a new change. Last time I talked about Messi on some other platform, I was talking about the fact that Messi had evolved last year into this year. This post-corona, I'm seeing a different kind of Messi, and we're sleeping on the fact that Messi, yes, he got his most assists in the season. I think that's 19 assists. Messi is becoming chief assistant, so don't let him be running forward. Messi can still see those dream spots, but he can't do the finishing.
Right.
So all they need now finisher, because Messi will still deliver on
They
the
go
passes.
see the chop go for backy.
we could talk about Messi, Barcelona, and Real Madrid for
They tell you
a full show. But we've got to move on from Barcelona and Real Madrid, of course, onto Italy, where it's an interesting race to the wire as far as Juventus and Lazio go. Well, 5 points now is what Juventus are currently topping Lazio. Lazio obviously cannot quite keep up with the power and the pace of Ronaldo and Juventus. But Sarri has been. It's not been a great season for him, and just in 2 minutes we're going to wrap this up. What have you made of Lazio's run so far? They still got 8 games to go, so a lot of things can still happen. Juventus, if there's anything we know, have been inconsistent every now and then. You think they'll still win a 9th title this season?
I think they will get over the line. I think they will get over. I would love
Would that
to
be down to
see
Sarri or Ronaldo being in the team?
it be down to Ronaldo. I'm sorry, Sarri, but every time I see that guy, I don't see a title-winning manager in him.
Right.
Let me sound like Viola here. there are teams where you just feel like even if Swa is managing the team,
No, don't insult me. I do football manager. I am fantastic.
they would win.
So basically, you think Juventus gets over the
Juventus
line?
seems now to be clueless, but they just got those players who can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and then get result, and that is what is taking them over the line.
Right.
That is the one thing Lazio does not have. Lazio has got a team that is grinding out results.
We've got the top scorer. We've got Ciro Immobile.
Well, Ciro Immobile is not Cristiano Ronaldo.
Of course.
At 35, you're just amazed what that guy does.
No, of course, we're not going
Don't
to
forget
compare
that Ronaldo. See,
and-
because of this stat, see, anytime any of my boyfriend do well, I have to state it. Ronaldo has broken record as the highest goal scorer in Juventus at 35. Can your goat do that?
Well-
If they are going to carry this thing, I feel like it's just for Sarri to do what coaches that have sense do when they know that they are not the most dynamic persons. You tell the players, anything when they say Ronaldo wants, do him. Dybala, stop acting like a child. You are not this guy.
And Dybala and Ronaldo have been fantastic. They've
And
been-
now it's
they've
not
had
that they
a
are not having
camaraderie.
sense. Now, when they were having issues, then we then started seeing that their number 10, Bernardeschi, is trying to play the role of a Dybala, of which it was putting him out of sync. So now Dybala don't get sense. Just tell them, say, guys, now the main man be this. Any in one time, make una run
Yeah,
out.
but they're doing great. I'm sure Ronaldo, Dybala, Bernardeschi, and Sarri will all be fine. But of course, it's been an interesting conversation as far as the race to the finish. And before we wrap it up, then let's get on to some betting. Have you got your phone out now? Because we have got to put out some numbers as far as the odds go for the various games which are coming up, and one of which is that Manchester City and Newcastle game. And as things currently stand, of course, all the bets are exclusive to the website www.nairabet.com. And just looking at that City game against Newcastle at the Etihad, we haven't talked about City because the title is pretty much done and dusted. Lost their last game, Emmanuel. But it's an interesting odds here because it's a whopping 24 odds for Newcastle to beat City, and a draw is something around 9.50, and of course a home win for City would be 1.14. Given City's last loss to Southampton, it was Southampton they lost to, right? Anything can happen. You know, if you put a 24, you put a 1,000 naira on a 24 odds number, that's 24k. Why can't it happen?
That's a Christmas ticket now. If you have a Christmas ticket,
Right, that's what you call it, Christmas ticket.
yeah, there's a ticket that you keep that's for the wild card. So
Right.
you can put that in your Christmas ticket. But I feel like the best option comparing looking at the odds on Nairabet would be most likely go for a go because right now you all know that Otamendi is leaking, and right now Ederson is not feeling so confident, especially when small team like small team like Southampton can do you an Alonso from middle of the field. Woko, that guy is a basket. He will collect goal.
So certainly, City are home to Newcastle United, who of course are still subject to a takeover by new owners. Hopefully that happens or it doesn't happen. I'm not quite sure we have many Newcastle fans in this part of the country, but I'm sure something will come up in the next couple of days. Right. So we've got another game to look at just before we wrap it up. Aston Villa are home to Man United. Aston Villa are not quite relegated yet, but they still hold a slim chance of surviving the relegation. United, of course, in incredible form. And if you just look at the data here, you know, Aston Villa to win at home is a 9.50, and of course you'd expect United with Bruno Fernandes scoring freely to go ahead and get a win. What would you put on that game if you were like had a Christmas ticket? Would you say Aston Villa could pick something from that game? No. No.
Yes, some Chris, no, some Chris, no, they good. They go beat you for some Chris. It's like Chris, they go beat you like mad. Manchester United will win all day. All day.
Man United to win that particular game. So what do you think?
I like making money out of things, so I'll say this is a game that could go either way for a draw. I'll say an X or a GG.
Crystal Palace.
Are they crazy? This is not ending of the season.
Let's move on to Crystal Palace.
Money.
So because that's a team that the team you support plays against are at home to Chelsea. And the odds for an away win in that particular game, of course, is Chelsea are favourites 1.49, and you've got a home win for Crystal Palace at 7.50 and a draw at 4.55. With Chelsea's fluctuating, form, they could win today. And Crystal Palace are a good team in many ways. You've got Jadona, you've got Wilfred Zaha, who might spring a surprise.
Don't waste your time. That's where I want to put my crazy money on.
Right, that's what you want to put your money on. What would you go for?
Is
a straight win for Crystal Palace?
Yeah.
Straight win?
Yeah. It sounds crazy, yeah.
Who bass inside your voice when you talk?
Yes.
Talk and well with your inner chest.
No, I have a sneaky feeling that Palace would.
Sneak something out.
Sneak out-
It's a derby. Anytime it's a London derby, anything is possible.
I have a sneaky feeling.
Anytime.
Just like the last one
Yeah.
against West Ham.
Yeah, so personally, I feel like because of how West Ham played
I'm not sure Lampard has done so well in
the derbies, is that he has not. But I feel like this is the one that he might be able to like chest it. They don't have too many. I'll say
It's always
Go-go.
it's
This
always a
ticket na
bad
go-go.
time
This
to
ticket na
play
go-go.
Palace when they have nothing to lose and you have everything to lose.
Right.
And,
it's a go-go.
And Zaha is getting close to the transfer window. Zaha will start looking for one person to come and try to sign him
put
again,
some
and
money
then
on
he has not woken up since. It's not now that I
Right.
wake up.
So we've done a couple of games, but of course we cannot run past the Arsenal versus Leicester City game. Arsenal won their last 4 games, and the next 4 games, I must say, are quite interesting for the Arsenal, who, of course, I'm hearing they play Leicester, they play Tottenham Hotspur, they play, I think, Liverpool in the mix as well. It's quite an incredible lineup of fixtures.
Then
But
Manchester City.
just looking at the website, www.nairabet.com, an away win for Leicester is at 3.50, and of course Jamie Vardy has joined the 100 club players to score 100 goals in the Premier League, 101 actually. You've got a draw in that particular game at 3.80, and a home win for Arsenal at 2.40. That is quite an interesting, a very high odds for an Arsenal home win, even though you would expect them to win.
yeah, Leicester is the Arsenal is the underdog. Whether I like it or not, I just
I mean, the odds don't say so, but hey.
because Arsenal is at home and Leicester has not. Arsenal has managed to somehow to always get a result against Leicester at the Emirates for a long time right now. I don't know how they managed to do that, but they always seem to
Right.
get a result at the Emirates. So that could count for. But it is one of those games where as an Arsenal fan you don't go feeling so confident. Because Arsenal is always susceptible to teams that go with pace and energy, and these Leicester boys have got loads of that. So it is a game where I do the go. I think both teams will score. I think both teams will score, and I don't think they will end the draw.
One of the players I'm actually looking forward to probably scoring another goal will be Kelechi Iheanacho, who's been scoring a couple of goals for Leicester since the restart.
I hope he scores. I hope he scores
Put in your
for the game
ticket.
to end 3-1 in favor of Arsenal.
No, honestly, as long as they start Vardy and Iheanacho like they did in the last games, I feel like this game is over 3.5. It's it's a game that is ripe and full of opportunities. So personally, as long as Iheanacho is on that field, I see him for an assist, I see him for a goal. I see him as someone that can be that guy. So I'm putting my tickets, I'm padding my accumulators so that my money go right.
I think it's gonna be the Nigerian game.
Nigerian game, yeah?
The 2 Nigerian boys on both sides would steal the headlines.
Isaka and Iheanacho.
Iheanacho.
Yeah.
Even though one is more Nigerian than the other. Right. Last week was actually a very interesting week for punters
Nigerians.
because Inter Milan caught a lot of tickets, and I'm sure the bookies had a great time.
Bologna.
Hopefully,
Conte,
that is it. That is serious.
I'm still traumatized.
You're doing a strong team.
conversation. Right then, guys, it's been a pleasure to have you, Emmanuel. Obviously, we've talked about it for quite some time, so it's finally been good to have you. Come share your thoughts with us. Hopefully, you come see us some other time.
Absolutely, I will always love to be here anytime I'm
Great.
invited.
We've actually loved having you as well. So it's been good to have you as well.
Thank you. Maybe next time I'll spot a beard like Emmanuel. Young person.
Not gonna happen anytime soon. Right, so that's all for a 3-part show, and of course, all the betting odds are exclusive to the website nairabet.com. Follow us on Twitter at knairabet, and also on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you're so kind. Kicking it with Nairabet. We'll see you in a couple of days, and hopefully your bets come true. We'll see you soon.